Conrad, and I'm with the wonderful Shelley Shaffery. She is, I'm not going to introduce her because I want to ask her what you do. So, what do you do, Shelley? It's Women's History Month, so I'm really excited to pick your brain and hear more about your background.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I currently work at Avaya and I am in the DevOps department under continuous improvement and delivery. Um, right now, we're doing a big push on some process improvement, how we can streamline things, and really on this huge upskilling and training of the staff globally. It's a lot.
I can only imagine. So, throughout your career, I mean, we had a brief conversation before I hit the record button. It sounds like you've been at Avaya for a significant amount of time, and
11
which is
years.
like, I know that's huge. Like to me, I'm like, that's a marriage. That is a decade and more. Um, Math is great, right? Like I just like to make jokes on that. But so throughout your career, what makes your heart sing in the industry? Like why DevOps? Why, why? Yeah.
Why
Go
any
ahead.
of it? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a crazy person that really likes puzzles. Like in general in life, whether they're puzzle games or actual puzzles. And I just feel like the technology is always changing. We're always doing something new. We're always trying to improve something. So every customer I work with, every project is just a new puzzle. And I love that. Like it makes me happy. Like someone else is like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. We've been struggling with this. I'm like, oh, can I get involved in that one? I want to know that one.
Mm-hmm. No, I always say like I'm a great FBI agent. Like I feel like I like to figure things out, or like if my friend is, seeing someone new, I'm like, I can find everything about him. Like it's I mean, it is a little unique, but it's like, yeah, fascination with like the unknown and like connecting the dots and stuff. So I can completely understand that sense or like frame of mind. So what has been your most memorable moment in your career so far?
This one's funny because it's very, very old.
Mhm.
And it's from way early in my days when I was still in college and doing networking work, and it just kind of shaped my path. So when you're an intern, you get the junk assignments, right? You get the work the weekends,
Yeah,
babysit the vendor,
yeah,
that stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a late night. I'm sitting with a vendor, and he's working on an upgrade of an Avaya system, and I'm just filling out emails, doing paperwork and whatever, and not really paying attention. And he makes some side comment, more to himself. I really wish I had a beer right now. And I paused and I was like, would you still be able to do your job? And he goes, yeah. So I disappear for 2 minutes and I show up with a beer. And he looks at me and he just goes, where? I'm like, well, the executive conference room upstairs has a mini fridge. We're not allowed to have alcohol, but I know they keep beer in it. So no one's going to complain it's missing because it's not allowed. He
Yeah.
laughed and then, like, the dynamic changed. She's like, "Sit down next to me. I'm gonna show you what I'm doing." I'm like, I just kinda looked at him 'cause I'm doing my own work, and he's like, "When someone gets paid $200 an hour and wants to show you how to do something for free, you sit and you learn." And every time he came from there on, I learned with him. Didn't matter what we were doing, didn't matter what was going on, it was a training session. And I've kinda taken that approach to life. Like I'm
Yeah.
always trying to learn something new. I just got a Google certification. I just found out like 20 minutes ago I passed the exam for digital leaders. I just I feel like if you're not growing and learning, things get stale and they don't aren't as much fun. And you can't really in technology continue to be good at what you do. You might be good at that one little subset, but things change and there might be better ways to do it and you just don't know. So I just constantly learn now, and I constantly try to figure out how to bring other people with me. Like, who can I sit in the chair next to me, like he did for me? Because it really changed my path. I was very much a networking person and not a telecommunications person before that.
I love that. One, because you're resourceful, right? I think a lot of the times people they get like polarized where they're like, I don't know how to figure out. It's like use what's around you. What is your resources? What like I think when it comes to like emergencies or anything like that, it's like you have to think quick. And it's like if you can think two things in life to be successful, I think is being resourceful and like always being willing to adapt and learn. And I think that's like to me, it's pay it forward, right? Like I think
Mm-hmm.
if you can learn and be a sponge and listen to people that have, this is why I kind of started the podcast. One reason, right, is like I'm interviewing people who have had success in their life, and a lot of the time you don't learn until you do it. And so like to and that's time, right? That's like not wasted time, but it's like if you want to be a leader in DevOps one day, you've got to like, there's steps you need to take, right? But at the same time, it's
Yep.
like, if you can get any additional insights along the way that will help improve you get there faster, I mean, that's gold to me. And so I admire that because I think more people need to be that way, right? Especially in tech, because there's always ways to improve efficiency, productivity. Anyways, not to go down that soapbox, but so what's a favorite failure of yours, like a failure that has led to success in your career or in life?
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm still hoping for success in this one. So
Yeah.
we've been working on a project for probably a little over a year, and it's to automate and clean up some processes, and it's a beautiful concept, and it's something we very much need. And every time we get close, oh, well, we're retiring this software, or oh, we're migrating this platform. And it's just kind of taught me that I can't have year-long projects. Like, we have to start splitting certain things up into smaller, okay, I know we shouldn't do it this way, but it's the first step, and then we'll take it from there.
Mhm.
And changing the way I'm looking at some of that stuff from more long term to more, more of an agile, more of a quicker fashion is making it better. So I took a different project and we did it that way. Like, I know this isn't the right way, but it's step one. And then
Mhm.
we've done phases and we're so much further along, and it's such a shorter duration than that other project that I have
Yeah.
to pivot. And
Yeah.
it's still a good concept. It
Yeah.
just I need to pivot.
Yeah, I think there is some psychology like studies on that is like you need immediate, right? Immediate like basically a checklist, right? To make sure, because it's almost a mentality thing, right? Because if you're in something for a long time, your brain almost just like glazes over and it's like you're not as sharp and efficient as you could be
Mhm.
if it was something. Anyways, that's I like that frame because it's you have to think of it like step by step, right? Get this done, and then yeah, I totally phases. However you want to organize it, right? But it's like you almost need to prioritize in that way in your brain because yeah, because it and then you I don't know if it's dopamine, but it's like after you get it done, it's like there's a rush, and so you feel motivated to do the next thing. So
Yep.
yeah, that is a smart way of doing that. I think like a failure is like quitting. So I always like to hear what people think is, in a sense, because it's like to me, I'm like, no, like you just have to give up, right? Throw in the towel. That's failure to me because anyways, to not to go down that
Yeah.
rabbit hole again. Not to go down that rabbit, but yeah, that's failure. But yeah.
But I'm totally with you. Like, for me, I define it as a failure because we had a date and we didn't even come close to the date. And we've passed the date. It's like in the rearview mirror by a mile, and we still aren't done. So it feels like a failure, um, but it's still something that's so important to what we're doing that
Mm-hmm.
we're not going to give up, but we're just going to have to redirect the way we're doing things. I'm totally with you in the checklist. If I'm honest, sometimes I write something down on my list that I know I've already done just so I can have I crossed
Yeah.
it off. Like,
Yeah.
well, I did that. I just forgot to write it down.
Yeah, if I have a bad day, I'll put a checklist and I'll be like, number one, cross off like the first item of your checklist. Like I'll make a kind of like a funny joke because it's like you have to have some type of silver lining or some type of like lightheartedness at the end of the day because like you only have so much to control and you just have to like be like, okay, tomorrow's a new day and let's move forward. So I do appreciate when people have that kind of attitude. I feel like it's or like frame of mind, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. But yeah, I think that it's a good way to look at tackling big projects, especially in development. So okay. So so what if you had a billboard that reached billions of people, what would you put on it?
So I'd like to say I'd put something technical and dorky on it, but realistically, what I'd probably put on it would just be the reason someone smiles today. Um, I don't know. I try to make it my goal every day that even if I'm having a really bad day, some
Mhm.
person that I interact with, I'm going to try to give them a compliment, even if I don't necessarily entirely mean it. Maybe I really don't like your hair, but I'm going to say it and be smiley and happy because
Yeah.
I want I want to give that other person just that little. I don't know what they're going through. I don't know what their day is like, and if I can just be a little bit of sunshine in someone else's day, even if I don't feel like it myself, it just I think it makes a big difference.
Well,
So
it actually like again, I am a marketing communications major, but I love psychology. I love human behavior. It's just like it's just so fascinating.
fascinating.
And when you and when you actually like give someone a compliment, it actually triggers kind of a similar feeling in yourself, right? To like to give something to someone without anything back is like it's yeah. Anyways, it's there's yeah, to me, the more that you can not force yourself, but like have a point of the day to interact with someone, one that you don't know, or two that you're like, I can tell that they're really frustrated or really stressed. Like, I'm going to do something that's going to add value because, to your point, I think adding value or leaving someone better than you found them is a big it's importance of life and work, just in
It is.
profession too, because work is stress. I mean, again, it's passion and it's stress, right?
Yeah.
It's something that you put a lot of time and energy in, and again, it's about being able to look at something, and if something doesn't go the way that you want, it's being able to pivot, like you said, and then also that person probably feels the same way, and you want to make sure that they're comfortable too, because you actually are more efficient when you're um not happy but more like content in a sense, right? So I you make me want to work in DevOps, even though like I'm a marketing salesperson. You make me want to work, like I'd be like, I want to work with her because it's about who you work with. So
It
um
really is.
what is one way that your work changed someone's life you didn't expect?
Hmm. Well, I think I think I'll take this onto my personal personal work. That's how I'll phrase this.
Yeah.
Um, I volunteer at a local observatory and I teach space to kids. It's
Oh,
just
cool.
it's it's fun. I just really
Yeah.
like it. Um, but I've been doing it for a while now. I probably at least 6 or 7 years now. So
That's
some
cool.
of the kids that I taught are like aging out and getting older. And one of the kids just happened to come by the observatory, and I don't remember all the kids because there's so many at this
Yeah.
point. And but he came back and he was like, "Oh yeah, I did one of your classes early on." He's like, "I'm going into a science major. I just got accepted at college for this." And I'm just like, "Oh, like I don't really know that my class made a big difference, but it's still at the same time I'm like, "Oh, he's going into science." Because
Yeah.
like, I don't know, I get excited when I see people like you can see the lights click on for some of the kids.
Yeah.
Like all of a sudden they just get really excited and then like they're just bouncing in their seat or I had one little girl just start literally screaming during class, which normally would be a little frustrating, but like she's like so excited screaming and she's like, I can do anything in science. Like we don't know you don't know the answers. I'm like, no, we don't know those answers. She's like, so I could learn those answers and then teach it back to you. I'm like, you could. She's like, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm like, she's like 8, but it's adorable, like, how excited they get when, like, it starts making sense and you see that. I don't know. It makes me happy. I was not good at science as a kid. It was a struggle for me. I did not enjoy it, so I really like making other people enjoy it.
I that gives me goosebumps because like I mentor for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Utah, and I'm a board member now because of the passion of like being able to mentor and teach and instill, like inspire or motivate, right? To let people know that they can achieve anything they put their mind to, and especially for science too. I think like I mean, science is, it can be rocket science, right? It can be very complicated. And I think for me, for a second, I didn't like economics. I was like, this, no, thank you. And I took a course in college, and the teacher was like probably one of the best that I've ever like had. And now I'm like a freak about economics. I just love it really, it's about who's delivering the like technical content. And I think
Mhm.
the more individuals like you and others that can help paint a picture to people who don't understand it, we need more of that. And
Yeah.
anyways, that's all. Like, and that's the biggest, like, I think, like, paycheck you can ever get is someone who is like appreciative of what you taught them and that they're inspired to accomplish something big for themselves. I think that
Yeah.
that's huge.
I think a lot of it also has to do with the expectation the teacher has for you.
Mhm.
Like these kids come in, they're like, "Well, I don't know this." I'm like, "Doesn't matter, because you can, and you will by the time you leave." "Well, I don't know. This seems hard." I'm like, "No, I am telling you, you will understand it. You will have fun, and like it will be good." And it changes your perspective. I can remember in college, I had a professor and I got a B on a test. And I was pretty
Mhm.
proud of my B. Logic
Yeah.
teacher. I was pretty proud. And
Mhm.
he wrote a note on my test saying he expects better out of me. And I look at my classmate, he got a C and he has no note. And I'm like, I was so mad. I stayed after class to talk to him. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, no, you I expect more from. And he pushed me, and he wasn't, I mean, I did better, but
Yeah.
I was mad, but at the same time
Yeah.
he had a higher expectation. And I treat all my kids like, I don't care if I'm teaching
Yeah.
a high school kid or a kindergartner. My
Yeah.
expectation is you can learn this. I'm teaching it at an appropriate level for you, and you will have fun. And that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all of a sudden they're like, I can do this. Like you see it change. Like that, like
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
I
it's that aha moment, and you're like,
yeah.
whenever I present to, let's say, partners or customers, like anything that's technical, and I put it in a way where it's resonating, and they give you the, oh yeah, that makes sense. It's like, yeah, like, yeah, like, yeah. Anyways, I get excited about that too because I'm like, yeah, I get really excited. So what are people like? What's one thing that people are generally surprised to find out about you?
Hmm. Um, Besides my volunteering habits,
Mhm.
I generally find people are very surprised with my weird working hours. Um, I tend to get up super early, only for work. I'd love to sleep in, but I get up super early because I have a global team, so I'm working with people
Yeah,
in different time zones.
yeah,
And then I don't want to have like these crazy working hours where you do like 16-hour days because you start early. So I really try to like take a moment. Like, okay,
mm,
8 o'clock, I'm busy. Like
yeah,
everybody else is just starting up. I'm going to be busy because I'm going
yeah,
to be getting kids out the door or whatever. But I try to build in those pauses at the right time for my family
yeah,
and for me.
yeah,
And it just really surprises people. Are like, wait, what do you mean? I'm like,
yeah,
no, I run the carpool and I still do those things. It's not always easy. Today my
mhm,
son couldn't find his hoodie and had like a total breakdown. He couldn't go to school without it. But you figure out how to do that. I mean, I think I try not to give the impression that I'm on 24/7 because I don't want other people to have that expectation,
yeah,
which is hard when you start so early and then you're back on later in the evening. So I like do delay delivery on my emails so I
yeah,
can still send all the stuff I need, but it doesn't show up till their time frame the next day,
yeah,
just so they don't feel like they have to answer me just because I'm on. Like, but I make conscious decisions to try to do that. So I'm not pushing other people to feel like they need to do that. And I'm very good about vacation though. I am off. You're off. No one is
yeah,
calling you. You're not calling me unless truly the world is on fire, which I will then take the call absolutely. But
yeah,
I don't expect people checking their emails and doing that stuff. Like it's not healthy. And then it just burns you out. Like by the time you start the next day, you've already feel done.
yeah.
You
Well,
can't have that.
you have to mentally take brain. I always say at work, I'm like, I'm gonna take a brain break. I just need a brain break. I'm just like, give me like 5 seconds or give me 5 minutes. Like I'm gonna go like outside and touch grass and like know that the like Earth is still here, right?
Yep.
Um, and so yeah, and for me, I love to watch the sunrise. And so I'm up at the crack of dawn, and my friends are like, when we ever take trips and stuff, I wake up like whenever the sun rises, and people are like, "You're crazy," but yeah, I think I've always learned that the busiest people get the most done, and the more that you can prioritize your schedule, like just schedule and be like organized, I think is more rewarding. As humans, like we want a set schedule. We want to be, I mean, again, it's good to adapt, right, to the
Hmm.
schedule changing and being okay with that. But as humans, we want to have that kind of like that routine. Our bodies need that from like a sleep cortisol level wise. So anyways,
Yeah.
that's I, I appreciate that from a manager. Like, yeah, I appreciate that because you don't ever want to feel like you're always like have to respond at 12 a.m. when, yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
And
So,
it's
oh, go
it's
ahead.
just
Sorry.
so it's so hard to change the mindset too. Like whenever I've gotten like new people to the team and they're like,
Hmm.
wait, what do you mean you don't want me checking email like at night? Or what do you mean
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to take my laptop on vacation? I'm like, you're not. I don't want you to. Like
Yeah.
I don't want you to lose it in the airport or, drop it over the side of your cruise ship or wherever you're going. Like I don't want you to take it. And
Yeah.
you shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's very it's it takes a while for people to get used to that.
So when you feel overwhelmed, like, because I assume when you development ops is like it is stressful because it's moving
Mm.
at a fast speed, right? And it's like you're communicating, you're train. There's a lot of hats, right,
Yeah.
that you're wearing from like a even a manager perspective. When you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, lost your focus temporarily, what do you do? What questions do you ask yourself to regain focus during the workday?
Yeah, I tend to try to do like a deep breathing exercise. I use Headspace, but I know they have like other options out there, and you can do them like you can look it up on YouTube, and they'll have like a little Headspace video,
Mhm.
and it just has you walk through like a little breathing exercise. It lasts for like maybe a minute and a half,
Yeah.
but I really do feel like I've calmed and I've resettled. Um, and then the question I usually ask myself if I really am like
Yeah.
deep into something
Yeah.
is this going to matter in 2 days? And depending on my answer will depend on how I react. Like if it's just, emotions are high because something is happening, I'm not going to care in 2 days about this. I'm sad that we have an emotion thing and maybe we need to talk about it, fine. But it's not something I need to like harbor and hold and deal with versus if we have like a code
Mhm.
problem or a bug that has to get fixed. And if we don't, bad things will happen. Like that requires a little bit more urgency and care and concern.
Mhm.
So I try to think of it that way. Um,
No, I use the analogy. I'm like, am I going to laugh about this a year from now? Like, am I going to laugh about it? And usually I do because I'm like, oh wow, I was a little over dramatic. I mean, it's good to have emotions, right? But I was like,
yeah,
okay, let's just come down to earth for a hot second. But yeah, no, and yeah, breathing. What is it like? Breathing like really slowly, right, and deeply, and then breathing out. It like really just. And then I always say touch grass. I have a friend who, I don't know if she's a PhD or master's anyway. She's a nutritionist. Excuse me. Blech. For some reason, words are hard today. And there is something with your body when it touches like the grass or minerals or something like like your body almost like is centered in a way. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's the reason why people do yoga outside. Like maybe I should start doing that
yeah,
outside. Anyways, but yeah, it really relaxes you and it kind of realigns you of like, okay, let's be rational. How do we go from here? So I think that that's a smart and calm. Is calm another one? Yeah, calm's another one. I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I guess the last question, or maybe second to last, well, where can people find you to learn more about you?
Yeah.
Um, and do you
Uh,
have anything cooking behind the scenes that you can share?
yeah. So I mean, you could find me on LinkedIn. I think I'm going to be at our Engage conference in Denver this year, in May. So that's if I am, I'll be wandering around the Avaya booth and come say hi. And I'm happy to talk with anybody. Um, Behind the scenes, what are we doing behind the scenes? So, I mean, we're doing a big internal certification push, which I'm really excited about to get people up on some of the new emerging technologies and things that we're working with and some of our new partnerships. Like we partnered with Google and Microsoft, and now we're partnered with Zoom and Cognigy. So trying to get everybody to understand the new technology and what we can do and what we work with.
Yeah.
Um, Me personally, we're trying to launch a lunch and learn series at Engage for our customers, just a free thing where
Mhm.
we're learning, we're taking that knowledge that we're getting, like, oh, well, we learned this new cool thing in AI. Let's
Yeah.
talk to our customers about it. It's not necessarily like about our specific products, but about just the new technologies and stuff that are out there, just to give you like a little snippet of it. So we're hoping to kick that off out of Engage.
Well, that is great because I think everyone can learn something because there's been so much information out lately that it's like it's good to know to like flesh it out and know like what is not most important, but like what is relevant to today. Because like
Hmm.
there's always like product roadmaps where like we have this, but it's not going to come down until 18 months later, right? But it's
Yeah,
almost it's good to know like what's now, what's going to be in the future, and how does it affect you in your business or your networking. Anyways, it's just I love lunch and learns. I do. I like that. I think it's always good to keep. Sometimes people think like, oh, let's not like bug the customer, but I'm like, no, like the more touches that you have with customer that you can add value, I think is very important. So I think
I
that's
loved
great.
them when I was a customer. I
Yeah,
loved them. Like
yeah,
I would block my calendar and I'd be like, "No, you can't talk to me right now. I cannot have any meetings. I have a
yeah,
lunch to learn." And I would be like super excited about it. So I don't know.
yeah. You were. It was great learning more about you and just the insights that listeners can hear. Thank you so much for your time. And
Absolutely. Thank you for
yeah,
having me. This was a lot of
yeah.
fun.